Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 198. I was black here. My opponent played e4, and I played d5, the center counter. And we go down the main line here. I play knight f6, so it's one of the main lines. The other, I guess the main line really is queen takes d5. But knight f6 is reasonably popular. My opponent plays d4, the best move here, and I take the pawn. And then I've always seen knight f3 here before. I haven't seen this c4 move before, but this looks like a good move. It's approved by the engine, and it's in the opening book. So, I didn't really find anything against it during the game. So I just went back to f6 with the knight. It looks like knight to b6 is possible. Knight to b4. I wondered about this afterwards. It's always a bit risky to put your knight out like here. You know, maybe you could play bishop to f5 and try and get something on the c7 square, but he can kick the knight immediately with a3 and just has nowhere to go other than c6, where it's in the way of the other knight. So I don't think this is a good way to play. It just gives white some more tempo with his queenside pawns. So knight b6 or knight f6 are the way to go. I guess they're about equal. I went here, and my opponent played knight to c3. And now I played g6. There's apparently a lot of different choices for black in this position. e6, knight c6 is all kind of logical. I was a little worried about knight c6 because I wasn't sure where the knight would go. But I guess knight c6, e5, and let's see. Oh, it doesn't even say that. But knight c6, e5, the knight could go to e4. So the move I think, though, makes the most sense is this bishop f5 move. Just get the bishop outside the pawn chain and then play e6 later, and with the dual purpose of developing the dark squared bishop and slowing down the pawns in the center. So that seems like a reasonable way to play. I chose to play this time the fianchetto, and we're out of the opening book here, so let's just look at this. My opponent played h3, which is a bit slow, but doesn't spoil his advantage. You see, white got a nice edge out of the opening here, so pretty good way for white to play. Now bishop to e3 and castle. So these are all normal moves. You see, white is maintaining his advantage. Here I had to decide how to proceed. I was thinking about the move c5, which the engine likes here, or at least it did. Yeah, it's in the list of candidate moves. But I thought, let's take a look at it. I thought after d5 he would just take that pawn, and then I didn't know how I would ever get the pawn back. But it did free up my position quite a bit. So it says queen to a5 and queen to a4, an exchange of queens. I doubt if he'd play that way. Maybe knight d2. What's the point of knight d2? I mean, it seems like I'm not really putting any pressure on these pawns, but there is potentially some pressure on the knight on c3 with the bishop and the queen. So maybe that's my compensation for the pawn here. Okay, so that's an interesting idea. I played the move b6, going for the fianchetto of the other bishop. I didn't want to play c6 here and block in my knight, and I didn't want to move my knight and have it get kicked around or block in the bishop. So by default I was left with this plan of b6, and it's not awful. We just continue developing, but white maintains his edge in the opening here. Rook c8. So we're making normal rook e8, normal developing moves, and then finally I decide to attack the center a bit, and instead of exchanging here, he decides to push ahead and block in my bishop. Not a bad choice, and then I try and make try to find some role for this bishop over here. So I play bishop to a6, attack along here, and then the idea with h6 is I wanted to be able to play the move e4 here without the knight coming to the square g5. So I'm covering that square here, and my opponent plays bishop d3, queen e7. So still preparing this push. Now I'm threatening a fork here, so he has to do something about it, and he chooses to move knight e4. And I guess the engine doesn't like knight e4 that much, so it sort of lets me back in the game in a sense. Let's see, queen d2 or queen c1 it likes. Okay, that puts the queen on this diagonal, putting pressure on the h-pawn, so that's a logical move. Okay, knight e4 though. It still keeps some edge for white, so it's not like a blunder or anything. So I take the knight, and he takes back. And now my next move is a blunder. So this is an interesting situation to consider. I just saw this tactic where I could play the move f5, hitting his bishop. The bishop only has one move, which is to go back here, and then I can play the move e4, which would fork the bishop and the knight. So that was the tactic I spotted. But I didn't bother in this situation to see, well, what are my opponent's threats? So I just spotted this tactic and played it. So this shows the why you should not automatically play these tactics. You need to go through the same thought process you do on any move, even after you spot a tactic. You have to say, well, that's my threat, but what are my opponent's threats, and whose threats are stronger? That really needs to be looked at every move. And white, in this position, has a strong threat. So if you want to pause the video, see if you can determine what white's threat is, you should be able to spot this one. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. Pause the video if you want more time to think about it. Well, I'll go ahead and play my move, since this is what was played in the game. My opponent's threat, which he got to play, is this move d6. And it's a double attack. It's attacking my queen, and his bishop is attacking my rook. And it's a stronger threat than my threat, because I can't allow my queen to be taken, so there's no time for me to take his bishop. I have to take the pawn, and then his bishop gets out of trouble and grabs a rook at the same time. So so I no longer have a threat at all. His tactic completely took care of my tactic and won the exchange. So he's just winning here. It looks like the best way to proceed is at the move queen to d2 or d3, just putting pressure on the d file. He played bishop to c1, which is just not as good, I guess. It's an interesting move, though. It opens up this file onto my queen and sets up the move knight c5, which he intends to play. I mean knight d4, rather. I play knight c5, and then he goes in with knight d4. And so this sequence, I guess, still leaves me in the game, right? He's back to his normal advantage. Even though he's up the exchange, he's given up a pawn for it, and my pieces are looking pretty good here. I just have to play correctly, and I can stay in the game. And I do for a while here. Rook d8, pawn to here, and queen. You know, I'm thinking about maybe I should have gone directly to. No, I can't go to. I want to put my queen on g4 here, g5, so that I can pin this pawn and take here. But his bishop is covering that square, so I do kind of a half step here. Well, he played f3, I played queen f6. That also defends this d pawn, which is coming under attack from his knight. He plays bishop b2, and now I decide to defend the d pawn with my bishop, because also I still can't play queen g4 because that just hangs the pawn. So he goes rook d2, putting more pressure on the d pawn, and now I finally get in this queen g5 move. And he plays queen d1, a nice move which defends the threat on f3 and also increases the pressure on the d file. Play e4, and then he plays a move which is actually a mistake. So he should play f takes e4 maybe, or knight c7. Knight c7 is interesting. F takes e4, or rook d5. These are all moves that could be played. And the move he played, knight takes d6, is a mistake, and I just didn't find the best way to refute it. So I guess this is another puzzle. Imagine that white has played knight takes d6 in this position. What is black's best response? And there's actually two good moves there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play the move, and you'll see the answer pop up on the chess engine. Knight takes d6. I just took back immediately with the bishop, because I didn't want the knight taking my bishop here on b7 and interfering with my threats on this diagonal. But that's not the way to play it. So the two good moves here are e takes f3, just continuing with my threats against g2, or rook takes d6. So let's look at these lines separately, because they're a little bit tricky. E takes f3. I mean, this is defended, so it's not clear that he really needs to do anything about it. And what if he just grabs the bishop here, for example? Queen takes d2. Okay, now I get it. So this is a strong move because it attacks the knight here. So after e takes f3, it attacks the rook on d2 if the knight moves. So what does it say? h4 to distract the queen, or okay, yeah, and knight takes b7, and I just grab on d2. So h4 to distract the queen away from that. Queen takes, and then now knight takes b7 is possible. And I can play the move from here. I can play the move f2 check, forking the king and the rook. So so this is a really interesting position, and lots of tactics going on here that I didn't spot. The second way to take, the second try, so that was e takes f3 with a double attack, or sort of threatening to attack the rook here. It's still a mystery to me why this is so strong. E takes f3, so he doesn't want to take the bishop because it leaves this under attack. I guess if he does nothing, like say he just moves the rook to the side, then it's possible to grab the knight because this rook is pinned, defending g2. Okay, so that's the other aspect of this this tactic here. So pretty complicated situation. And notice all the pieces are kind of playing here. The bishop's got a roll, the rook has got a roll, the queen's got a roll. Only this knight is not really participating. So pretty interesting. So the other way to play here is just the direct rook takes d6, trying to get his rook away from the defense. Back up, that's not it. Rook takes. So that's an exchange sack, but you've removed his rook from the defense of g2. So now you take here with a mate threat. He has to defend immediately, and he could defend with the rook, couldn't he? Yeah, bring the rook back to d2 or play the queen to d2. Let's try what happens when you bring the rook back to d2. Then knight to e4. The knight jumps in, and that comes with an attack on the rook, and also with a threat to play f2 check, forking the king and the rook. So even the knight has a role in this position. So every piece, that's pretty interesting. Every piece in black's camp has got a role in these tactics. So you really have to stay alert for these things all the time. So what was actually played? I played e4. He played knight takes d6. So knight takes d6 was just a mistake. Yeah, he had to play f takes e4 and try and dissipate this threat immediately. Knight takes d6, and I took with the bishop. So that's the one case that loses. And now now he can just take this. And when I take back, his queen gets in. And I thought, materially I'm doing okay here. I have two pieces. Well, I'm still down the exchange, but I have these threats going on here against his king, and I preserved my bishop. So I thought I was okay, but the problem is that I just have to open myself up too much. And I thought I had all the checks covered. That was the other thing. I forgot about when I take, the rook comes in here with check, and it's just a mate in two. There's nowhere to go. I went to f7, and then he played rook f8, checkmate. Game over. So pretty interesting set of tactics there in the middle of the game, and a little bit about the opening. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.